What's going on, Mediocre Gamer fam? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all the good things. I don't know how people start the first podcast of a year because this is our first podcast of the year. AJ, how does it feel to be into a new year with a stranger?
It feels like how it felt yesterday, but there's
Okay.
just a different number on the date.
Okay. All right. And of course, everybody, let us know how your holiday, New Year's were. Comment down below. Tell us if it was great, if it was bad, if it was something. I had a good time for mine. Nobody got into physical altercation. Oh snap! Hold up, wait. I have a friend who's a chef, and she made cookies, and now I have there's some
Ooh.
cookies still in there, and this fancy little tin. They're eggnog snickerdoodle cookies.
Whoa, that's kind of crazy.
They taste kind of crazy. I'll tell you what, they were great. AJ, how was your holiday New Year season?
Very, very good, hectic. I went down. My dad lives in Florida, and so I went down there for a week, and then I got back on the 23rd, so that was just right before Christmas.
Okay.
So then I had all that madness from everyone still here, and so I had a good time, but it was crazy. And then we are recording today on New Year's Day, so
Woo!
yeah. So New Year's Eve was last night. Also, why I'm standing because I am dying.
You know something? It's insane because last year, I drank like a bottle and a half of champagne. This time I only had a bottle, so like we're good. And apparently, it was like seeping out of my pores. I was just sweating, just literally sweating champagne. And I was just like, yeah, I'm fine. Everybody was like, you smell like alcohol.
Exactly. You're fine.
I'm great. I'm doing great. And AJ, we also took a break.
Yes.
Before the holiday season. It was a good 2-3 week break, was it? Something like that?
Yeah, just because of, again, I was out of town and then holidays. Yeah, it was like a 2 week break.
Yeah. And in those 2 weeks, AJ, literally everything happened.
Yeah, a lot's gone down, and I'm really excited to talk about it.
Listen, man. Okay. First of all, the leaks this past year in 2023 have been actually insane.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
it's
going
been
through my
a
notes.
barrage of nonstop leaks. It's crazy.
Yeah. How do we start off with the Grand Theft Auto? Remember when the Grand Theft Auto 6 leaks came out and it was a bunch of development footage? And granted, it was development footage that looked pretty good, all things considered, when you consider the fact that it wasn't meant to be seen by an outside force.
It was like
Pretty good.
pre-alpha. Like, yeah, it looked
Like
yeah.
pre-alpha. Like
Yeah.
they literally were just testing to see if the assets could like function and not break the whole
And
everything.
if you look in the comments of all those, like the Reddit posts and all of that, you'll see developers coming in. They're like, no, this actually looks phenomenal for how early on this is.
I was finna say, yeah, and obviously you shouldn't look at leaks like that, especially if you're hyped for something. And Grand Theft Auto 6 is probably the most hyped game ever to exist. But because of how early the footage was and how good it looks, considering the fact that no one was meant to see it, I was excited. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That's not to say that everything is hunky dory at Rockstar though. GTA 5, the source code for Grand Theft Auto 5, leaked. AJ.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it kind of sucks for Rockstar. Obviously it makes the game a lot easier to pirate. And, everyone kind of can get it for free. But granted, it's not like you can't just download those files and click on the exe and it'll launch. Like, there's a lot to that you still have to do. But it's exciting also to see, like, now that we have the source code, what some creative people will do with it, because you can alter that
thinking the
initial
same
code
thing.
and do some really cool stuff. So I'm excited for that side of it. But yeah, sorry, that sucks for you, Rockstar. Sorry.
I mean, listen, Rockstar had to take something on the chin. What is going on at Rockstar? Because now there's a separate report. There's like no evidence for it, but there was a janitor at Rockstar, a janitor, literally, who was just like, ooh, I know when Grand Theft Auto 6 is gonna come out. It's supposed to come out in September of 2025. And here's the thing, like, what's going on at Rockstar? Like, are y'all not treating your employees very kindly? Like, what's going on here?
It's either that or it's their security is just abysmal.
But see, here's the problem, and then here's another problem. I'm sure the security is fine. I'm sure it's state of the art. It's just nothing's perfect. Nothing is unhackable unless maybe you're the government. I don't know. But yeah, like it feels like a lot from one specific camp. It'd be different if it was leaks from everywhere, but it's one specific. Like Rockstar Games has like a major leak every 3 years or something crazy. Like, so someone needs to be nicer over there, okay? And the craziest part is apparently a modding group bought the source code for like $2,000. Then they tried to sell it for $6,000, which is incredibly cheap. I mean, granted, it's a 10-year-old game, but it's also the most profitable game ever.
I feel like that could sell for almost millions.
You would think,
I feel like that's a big deal.
Apparently, they couldn't sell it for $6,000 after they bought it for $2,000. It was like a group buy. Everybody pitched in, passed the cup around, and scrounged up $2,000. And now there's just the GTA source code.
Oh, you know what?
How do you even get that?
No idea, but I know why no one's willing to buy it, because you can't make a profit off of it. Like, yeah, it's cool to have, but like you physically, like if you try to make a profit off it, Rockstar now can come after you. So like,
unless you edit it to the point where it's a different source code, which I mean, it's a great starting point, but
even then, that's scary. That's because technically, if you use any of the work they use, that's like that's illegally using their. I don't know.
It gets tricky. It gets tricky and complicated. Let me tell you what isn't tricky and complicated. The guy who actually did the GTA 6 leaks, the very same guy who did the GTA 6 leaks, dropped like, what was it, like a terabyte of information, including videos and stuff like that. Something crazy.
So much.
He has maybe the strangest punishment I've ever read, ever. He has effectively a life sentence, but not in prison, in a hospital.
Yes. It's like a high security hospital. Really, what I believe it is like a, like one of those, like almost like a loony bin, not a loony bin, but like pretty much like
monitored type deal.
Yeah, and really the reason why they said is like he's a threat to society, which is first of all a wild label to get. Threat to society is crazy. To anyone. I was labeled by our government as a threat to society.
Dangerous man, AJ.
What did I, like, I can't even, like, there's not many things I could think of that you can do to get labeled that, I feel like.
I mean, so yeah, apparently he's just literally, in the article that I read, and I'm sure there are numerous articles covering the situation, the article I read, because of his severe autism and because of the fact that, like, he just wants to do this thing that apparently he's very proficient at. We're just like, we don't feel comfortable putting you in a prison per se, because maybe you don't fully understand like the gravity of what you're doing. Maybe you don't have full regard for what you're doing, whatever the case is, but like you need help and we are going to pay for that with tax dollars. That's basically the punishment.
And don't forget, I mean, really, you have corporations talking at the top too, because their dollars are going out the window with someone that is that proficient at hacking. I mean, literally, this could, outside of gaming, this could affect any company. He can release like so much information from anyone. So really, I think there's a lot of companies also are putting in some money to keep him not open to the public, so he can't. Like, that's his threat to society.
I didn't even think about it like that.
That's his threat.
Think about that, yeah. Because if you're a threat to society, why would we not pay what we can afford to keep you not in society, right? I don't know. Maybe he's gonna get like a movie made about him, and it's gonna be like a weird tangential. It's gonna be a video game movie, kind of.
It'd be an interesting movie, because essentially he's too smart for his own good.
Exactly, and like he ends up hacking. I don't know. He hacks the U.S. for the U.K. and now World War III happens, but he stops World War III through the power of friendship. That's a dope movie. I would pay to see that.
I would too, but Anthony, this is a gaming podcast, all right? So let's go back to our the GTA 6 hacker. So I mean, do you think there's any chance of him getting out? I mean, I don't know much about.
I mean, I believe in rehabilitation. I believe in rehabilitation as a concept. So I would like to think that in a perfect world, maybe You just don't want to sit in a hospital every day, all day, probably getting some type of treatments, probably getting some type of physical therapy, physical activity, but you're living in a cube inside of a bigger cube.
Yeah, and constantly monitored. Like it's
and constantly monitored. Like you're not free. And I feel like at a certain point, either you're gonna like be able to fake it to where we're just like, all right, cool, we're gonna let you go, and then you go out and you leak even more stuff. You just upload the GTA 6.exe file, like you just trip. Or like you're like, you know what, maybe I'll just get a job in tech because everywhere has a job need for tech people.
And someone that good at hacking could make so much money working for companies.
Stupid money.
Like hacking their stuff for them to tell them
like finding weaknesses in their security, writing new programs to do that for him. Like the possibilities are literally endless with someone as talented as this. They just literally are using their powers for evil, and now they live in a hospital with padded walls. And that's not even the craziest part is, here's the thing. When the GTA 6 leaks happened, I remember vividly going, this is the biggest leak ever. That was at the top of 2023, okay? Mm-hmm. I was like, this is the biggest leak in gaming, period. Hard stop. And AJ, I was wrong, like wrong as hell, like very incorrect, because Insomniac Games, the good people that make incredible games, most recently, Spider-Man 2, the first Spider-Man game on PlayStation 4, they got hit with a ransomware attack, okay? And here's the thing: it's a movie. This is actually a movie where someone somewhere on the internet comes up to Sony and they're like, "Hey, Sony, we have like everything in this one particular studio, Insomniac Games, which I think is very important because Sony kind of doesn't have a lineup outside of Insomniac Games right now. We don't have to talk about that. That's just a fact." And they're like, "Hey, listen, we have all the information. We have gameplay footage of this unreleased Wolverine game. We have your entire release slate into the next decade, into like I think 2035 is when they stop having projections on things.
I think so.
Somewhere in there, 35.
And Wolverine was just more than gameplay. I mean, it was plot, locations, bosses. I mean, everything.
The whole game, basically, everything but the file. And including and not to mention like pretty much all of your employees' information. We have like phone numbers, addresses, names,
passports.
All of that. Passports. They uploaded passports. They say, yeah, so Sony, we have all this information and we will just literally just do this to it. We'll just throw it in the air and see where it lands if you don't give us the amount of Bitcoin that sums up to $2 million. I think it was either 10 or 12 Bitcoin at the time. And Sony, I don't like what Sony did. And we can talk about this. I don't like what Sony did, but I respect it. Because they stood on business and they said, we ain't give you nothing. Give you zero, zilch, and nada. So then 7 days later, a hacker group called Riceta, which is a type of virus and also an insect. A fun fact. They were just like, hey, here's everything we said we were gonna leak. And boy, to the howdy, is it interesting, because now we have budgets for video games. We have release dates of video games that no one knew were in the works. We have footage, plot, gameplay of the new Wolverine game that might have dropped in the next 2 years, maybe. And granted, again, like we were saying earlier, it's all very early footage. No one was meant to see this. So it's kind of like the inverse effect of the GTA 6 footage, where it's just like, wait a minute, I don't know how early this is, but it's early enough to where these look like complete levels. Maybe not with the polish. There isn't. I don't think there's a HUD. I don't think there's a UI on it. But these look like the levels, and this looks like the gameplay. And I gotta be honest with you. Obviously, I have to wait to see the whole game. I have to wait to see everything. But I was a little underwhelmed.
Yeah. So I saw. I haven't seen everything. I saw some combat footage, and it literally, I mean, in the most literal sense of the word, looked like you took Spider-Man and made it a Wolverine game. I mean, it literally, like, it, if you look at the footage, you go, yep, like, that looks and feels like Spider-Man, but, like, combat-wise, at least, you know? And, like, you know, I saw some of the animations, you know, absolutely very minor spoiler. I mean, this is I hardly anything, but like like I saw like a thing where he, like jumped up on someone, like stabbed his claws down through it, like through his head, and I was like, yo, that was raw, that was super cool.
It's
But
pretty cool.
like so like there's a lot of cool stuff that I saw with it. I saw him like running through buildings and like not parkouring but kind of parkouring in
Yeah,
the
kind
same
of
vein
the
that
run climb thing.
the same vein that Spider-Man does it. Like it felt very much Insomniac Spider-Man inspired.
Yeah, and then for those of us who maybe don't have any interest of seeing the footage, I don't know if we could even use any of the footage because that feels illegal.
Yep. Yep.
Great. And so yeah, imagine God of War, but Wolverine, but with the kind of mechanics and aiming of Spider-Man, and you have what this game play is showing. And not only that, there's some leaked other things like another playable character, maybe possibly potentially. They might just cut that from the game. Who knows? But yeah, this is bad.
Yeah, I have one question for you about this Wolverine game, because like you just said, they might cut that extra playable character. We're 2 years away. There's tons of cuts left because they're gonna start running out of time. So like there is some stuff here I'm sure that was shown that won't be in the final product. What will be cool looking back in the future is this will be a really cool way to look at the development cycle of the game, though. Same thing with the GTA 6 leaks. Like, it's really cool from a history standpoint to be able to go back. Anyways, with all that being said, do you think that they're going to cut any of the story elements now that we've seen like the full plot? Do you think they're going to change it so people don't know it's coming?
I think they'll probably move some things around, but the problem is because we're so late in the development cycle that you can only change so much. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like if this had come out last year, I would have been like, they're definitely moving some stuff around now. Like we probably are going to get a slightly different game that goes in 8 different directions than we thought, right? But because we're about 2 years away, right? And again, we got budgets on these things. Spider-Man 2 cost $300 million to make. A lot of other games on this same release slate cost in the ballpark between 200 to 300, all things considered. You can't really just turn $200-300 million ship around in the middle of the water and expect to go somewhere different this close to your destination.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work that way. So I think that we're probably going to see some cuts for 1,000%. We're definitely going to see some cuts, but I don't think that it's in a state to where it's just gonna just poof and be a different game. Like I don't think we're there.
Okay, that makes sense. I was gonna say, and keep in mind, like, you're kind of at your own risk if you're looking at those leaks. The people that care about not knowing about the story beforehand aren't looking at those leaks. So
exactly, yeah.
I think it's fine in that sense. And like once the game's released, I mean, it doesn't really matter if you saw it ahead of time or not once it's released, because it's like the story's out either way. So exactly. I think in the long run, it doesn't matter, especially because like so far, the community's been really cool about not being assholes and spoiling it for people that haven't looked. Like, I don't see people even really discussing it too much now that the fire's kind of died down. And, I'm glad to see that, because I was really nervous about people like, because you'll see that every once people go in comments and purposely throw in comments that spoil stuff, to people that are asking questions, obviously aren't caught up or whatever, And so I'm glad that has been happening. I'm glad it's been pretty civil.
AJ, if you're Sony, right? If you're Sony and this group comes, and now granted, this is what's interesting about Sony specifically, is that Sony has had incredibly crazy, insane hacks and leaks in the past, right? So if you're Sony and someone says, hey, listen, I got all this information, I can prove to you I have all this information, and I just want $2 million. That's not a lot of money to $1 billion company like Sony. It's not, but we were talking about this a little bit off camera about how that sets a very major precedent of, hey, if all I gotta do is just hack Sony, which apparently is easy.
It happens every other year.
Happens like every 2 or 3 years. Yeah, it's kind of insane. Then it's like now you have a litany, an army of like teenagers, early 20s age kids coming in and going like, yeah, like we're gonna bully the big man, right?
Well, and that's the thing is like you look at the article and you're like, there's an 18-year-old kid. You're like, I can do that. Anyone can do that, and so I like you just got to learn it. And so in that sense, like if you learn how to do that now, like you said, it sets a precedence that they'll give me money. Like where do you draw the line in the sand?
I think, okay, this is where it's a little bit different because I think personally employee information, like even with the whole SIE leaks with the PlayStation Network and how it basically crashed for like a while and like everybody's information was kind of just out there. Thankfully, I think they kind of caught it and like sort of plugged the leak, so to speak. But like now we got employee information where it's like, you know, just everyday people working for this company that making games that they love, doing things that they love, because like the budgets, release slate, nobody can do anything with that really, and also it's probably changed 3 times since this leak has come out. So
absolutely.
So that isn't anything, but now we have like passports, names, emails, phone numbers, addresses of people that you pay to work for you when all you had to do was pay $2 million. That's a little different. I
mean, even Yuri Lowenthal's information got leaked, and like he's like, I mean, he's not a celebrity, but like,
he's like
famous.
He's a big name in the voice acting space. In the
big enough to where like it's a problem if someone knows my address. You know, if I'm a random employee of Insomniac, of course I don't want that getting out. But like if it does, you know,
but nobody cares.
No one gives a shit. I'm just some guy. But like Yuri's big enough to where, yeah, I'd be worried.
He's the American voice of Sasuke, dog. Like in the Naruto anime, he's Sasuke.
Peter Parker,
kind of a big name.
Yeah,
and Peter Parker. I mean, Yuri Lowenthal's resume is enough to have a whole other video about just Yuri Lowenthal's resume. But yeah, if I'm Sony, I think I'm dropping the $2 million. Would you drop the $2 million if you knew that your employees' information were in the basket up for grabs?
It's hard. It's hard because like. I probably would, but you have to look at it as a business, you know. It's one of those things where am I setting a precedence going forward? Because then someone else gets it. You know, I mean, shoot, that guy did it. He has a buddy. He can just give that information to his buddy. Literally just hand him it over, and then his buddy's like, "Hey, Sony,
yeah,
I've got some information
again." Yeah.
So like it's hard because now like they now have their employee info got out and along with the gaming stuff. You know, that sucks for them. It really does. But they now have also set that precedence that if you do that, your life is gone. You're in the hospital. Like you are now forever a threat to society. So that right there is a massive deterrent.
Yeah, I mean, not big enough, man. $2 million for like life in a hospital, kind of insane. You know, I don't know if that covers the lawyers.
That's what I'm saying. So like, I think they did the right. It's hard to say that because it harmed a lot of people, but I think in the long run for the company, they did the right thing.
Okay, that's valid. That's real.
I still feel bad for those people. It's a hard decision, and it's almost fucked up for me to say what I said. But like, if you think of it as a business, they technically made the right move.
Technically, you know what? I'll give you that. And like again, I don't like what Sony did, but I understand and I respect it. Don't. And you know something? I'm sure that there are a lot of town hall meetings in those Insomniac offices where all of this will get rectified. Quick minor thing. In the leaks, again, there were leaks. Insomniac's working on some X-Men stuff, dude. Do you care? Are you excited?
They're working on a lot that got my ass shaking. A lot? Oh yeah. I mean, so we have Spider-Man 3 is confirmed, which we already knew that. They already said they wanted to make that a trilogy. We saw a little bit of concept art, and the concept art I saw had like 10 Spider-Men fighting. I was like,
that sounds like Spider-Verse.
That's crazy.
You know?
And so I'm excited about that. Venom games confirmed.
Of course.
Wild.
Probably going to be like a Miles Morales experience, like Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I thought they were going to do someone else without going into too much spoiler territory. I thought they were going to do someone else. I'm cool with Venom though. That's badass.
I'm just saying, if you're mad at Venom, a Lethal Protector game, like what are we doing? Are you actually a
Yeah,
Spider-Man
right.
fan?
Right. So yeah, that's gonna be super cool. Another Ratchet and Clank. That's awesome. That makes me
Always
so
appreciate
happy.
it.
Yep. And then also down the road, there's a new IP coming. Insomniac doesn't miss, and I love all their new IPs.
There's two new IPs. And
yes,
we don't know what they are.
No,
but
I'm
excited.
so excited. I'm so excited. All between like Ratchet and Clank, Sunset Overdrive, Spider-Man. I mean, they don't, man. Even Stormlands on VR, one of the best VR games. Like they don't
miss.
Sly Cooper, I believe, right? I think they made Sly Cooper.
I want to say yeah. Sly was Insomniac.
Like
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like they do, especially again, every new IP is something completely unique and different. I'm so excited to see what they're going to be. It's going to be a long time from now, but I'm excited.
What's okay, so 2 new IPs. Okay, one of them I'm sure is going to be something that nobody was expecting. Nobody could predict it. It's probably going to be a game where you play as a house walking around the neighborhood and like, killing other houses to become a mansion, and until you just become a house planet. I understand. But what if they're just like, you know what? We can't do a Sunset Overdrive 2, but what if they do something like, I don't know, Sunrise Overdrive? And now it's just this whole other thing where like you take the gameplay of Sunset Overdrive and now it's a PlayStation exclusive, where Sunset Overdrive was the Xbox exclusive, and now we have something interesting happening there.
Really quick, I think it's up to Xbox, but Insomniac, can we get Sunset Overdrive on all platforms? That'd be super cool. It deserves it.
It does deserve it. Sunset Overdrive is probably the most underrated. Well, it's top 5 most underrated games probably ever.
Ooh.
Probably ever, right?
That's bold, because there's a lot of underrated games that even you and I have never heard of. You know?
And comment down below. Let us know a game
Yes.
that we're not thinking of. Because off the top of my head, Titanfall 2, underrated. Mad Max, underrated. Sunset Overdrive,
Alan Wake,
criminally underrated. Oh, Alan Wake, very underrated.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. Well, Alan Wake 2, definitely. I don't feel like Alan Wake 2 got the push that it just deserved. That's just me. I understand Remedy was playing it smart, and they kind of got the word of mouth thing. I think it sold well.
it sold fine,
what's number 5?
I think.
I mean, yeah. What's number 5? What's an underrated? What's a game that you keep coming back to? Gosh. I would say Sleeping Dogs, but everything has been said about Sleeping. Well, the fact we don't have a Sleeping Dogs 2 makes me think. Yep. Sleeping Dogs, stamping it.
Chibi Robo. Throwing that out. I'm throwing an old banger.
That's
out
a deep
there.
cut. That's
a deep cut.
That's a deep cut.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to like make a 10 list of just games that are just very underrated and should be played more, if not like way more.
Ooh, we should make a tier list sometime. A tier list episode.
Tier list of underrated games you need to play now. Ooh, we could do a top 10 list, be like a Watch Mojo game ranks thing. Be like, this week on Watch Mojo, 10 underrated games that you should play right now.
Ooh, I like it.
Ooh.
We're the new Watch Mojo of gaming. Here we go.
Ooh, Game Mojo.
Game Mojo.
Mediocre Mojo.
I hate it.
Why do you hate it? I love it. That's great.
Oh, I love the concept. I hate basing off of Watch Mojo.
Listen, why are we hating off of one of the most successful channels ever to be a channel? Also thing. Not a big thing, not even a really major thing at all. But what do you think one of the new IPs is? Again, get 2. One of them is going to be something very, very random. The other one is probably going to be something very familiar.
Yeah, I think like the random ones, it's going to be like Ratchet and Clank. Like it's going to be like you could never guess it. Like you would never be able to guess Ratchet and Clank before you saw it. Like that, But what they're gonna bring back, I can see a Sly Cooper. People have been requesting it for a while. And the thing is like the original team didn't want to work on it anymore. That's why the 4th one isn't super good. They gave it on to another studio. They didn't do super good. And so I think at this point, bring a new team in that's passionate, that genuinely wants to make a new one. I think it could be a banger. So I'm going to give my vote to Sly Cooper on that one.
Okay, Sly Cooper. I'm holding out for a new Sunset Overdrive, or at least like a Sunset Overdrive clone. Like give me Sunrise Overdose. Like give me just something. Give me.
I would love it so much. I think it's Microsoft. I think Microsoft has a stake in it.
Yeah, that's why it was an Xbox exclusive on the Xbone, and it was literally for a long time the only thing the Xbone had going for it. Like, and again, nobody talked about it because nobody talked about the Xbone because the PlayStation 4 is superior. Blah blah blah. I get it, but Sunset Overdrive.
I almost got an Xbox back then instead of a PS4 just for that game. I wanted to play it so bad, and I finally my dreams came true because I got Xbox Game Pass on my PC, and it's on there, and I was able to play it in all its glory.
And so, AJ, we're coming up on 2024. 2023 was, I would argue, probably the biggest year in gaming. Like, some of the biggest news in gaming history came out as of last year. Some of the best games ever came out last year. Some of the worst things to happen in gaming, including Gollum and Kong Skull Island, came out last year.
Don't forget about Avatar.
Avatar. I'm not lumping Avatar in with Kong Skull Island. That's what we're not gonna do. I know you hate Avatar and all things James Cameron. It's okay.
No.
No.
Last Airbender.
Oh,
if you haven't seen it,
that did happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Say go watch some gameplay footage. You haven't seen it. It's abysmal. It's really bad.
Yeah. No, I've heard.
Borderline
I
abhorrent.
didn't look because it hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta recompose myself because you brought up this monstrosity that was Avatar. The never should have happened. Okay, but now we got 2024. Any games that you're looking forward to? Because I know that I'm probably gonna have to like suck it up and get an Xbox and get Stalker Tears 2 Tears of Chernobyl. That's not the game. Stalker 2 Stalker 2.
Stalker 2. Yep. What you should do is get like a low budget PC. We'll talk about that later.
I know I should. It probably wouldn't even be that hard. I just don't have a great place to put it because my spatial organization is terrible. And also, I kind of just want an Xbox, and I might get Game Pass, even though Xbox is working to put Game Pass on PlayStations, PCs, Xboxes. That's a whole other conversation. We could do a whole other podcast just on that because that is crazy. But,
well, and I do have a lot to say about streaming services in general with gaming, like in preservation and all of that. There is a lot to be said there. But anyways, we're way off topic at this point. So back to where we were. Yes, and Insomniac is, I don't know what they're cooking, but it's not going to be Sunset Overdrive 2. I hate to burst your bubble, but Xbox isn't going to allow it. It's one of those games that sadly is never going to be able to be really re-released or anything because Sony isn't going to allow that. Yeah. Xbox isn't going to allow it to go anywhere else, really.
Maybe they could work something out. I don't know. Sony's losing real bad. Because, again, the only thing Xbox has going for it is Stalker 2. The only thing Sony has going for it is
Insomniac.
Something from Insomniac.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a game.
Really, no one's looking really too hot going into this year. I mean, yeah, there are some exciting games, don't get me wrong, but like no one's looking hot, and I think Nintendo's gearing up for Switch 2. I think Nintendo is about to have a crazy year of announcements. I don't know if it's Switch 2 is coming out next year, but I think this next year, because they're going to announce a Switch 2 and then all those launch titles. I mean, we're rumored with a new Mario Kart, 3D Mario. There was Animal Crossing. Like, there is tons of stuff I've seen been rumored. And so
I think kits that are floating around for this console that allegedly doesn't exist according to Nintendo, who are known to lie about things we know.
They'll say it doesn't exist and then they'll announce it the next week. That means nothing to me at this point. Absolutely. But yeah, so it's that Nintendo. I am excited as a Nintendo fan for next year because they have announced nothing and it's odd. Like the Princess Peach game's like all they got, and that game looks like a banger, but it's like all they got.
It is all they got. I don't know. Maybe they. You think they're gonna do more re-releases like they did with the Super Mario RPG, which is really a remake, but.
That for sure is. They're gonna keep doing that. They're gonna keep
You
doing
gonna
that.
get
It's easy money.
ooh, AJ. What if we get a new NBA Street Volume like 5 or whatever we're on now? That would like on GameCube back in the day.
That'd be kind of crazy. That'd be
I,
super cool.
that would be insane. I would listen. Okay, Nintendo. Hey, if you're watching this, and I know you're not, but if you are, listen.
Mr. Miyamoto.
If you, Mr. Miyamoto, hi. Just give me a copy. That's all I want. You don't have to give me the Switch 2. I bought a Switch 2. Just give me a copy, and then I'm like, you know what? You scratch my back. I'll give you whatever you're charging for the console, because my one sale is like worth playing the game early to you, and I appreciate that. Appreciate it.
Oh, I'm sure they're gonna send you something. We'll
They
let
better.
everyone know.
They better.
They better. If they were cool, they would. That's all I gotta say.
Listen. Nintendo's never cared about being cool. Let's start there. They've never cared. They came out with the GameCube. Nobody thought it was going to work. And it didn't sell that great, but everybody who played it was like, this is actually kind of fun. And then they made the Wii, and everybody's like, this isn't going to work. It was the highest selling console ever. They made the Wii U, and everybody was like, why did you do that? And then they were like, okay, you're right. Let's make the Switch. And then everybody's like, you got to, sorry, we doubted you.
Yeah, well, it didn't help during the Wii U era either that the game output was just horrible. I mean,
it was bad. I mean, you got some
there was
pretty
a
impressive
few.
running stuff. Like let's see, like there were Call of Duty games on a Nintendo console for the first time in forever. It was the Wii U was more powerful than the Wii, and it was impressive for Nintendo, but it also wasn't very great as far as releases.
No, not at all. I mean, they Mario Kart 8 launched during that. That's pretty good. Mario Maker.
Oh yeah.
But then that was also during the era of New Super Mario Bros. We got New Super Mario Bros. 2 and Wii U on like during this generation, and I think everyone was a little burned out.
I feel like that's like the only misstep in Nintendo's catalog that we can point to and go like, you were wrong.
Yeah, and there's not really a Zelda because Breath of the Wild was Wii U Zelda, but that was a launch title for Switch, so there really wasn't like there's remakes it was just a tough year. Like no Animal Crossing. I mean, it was on the 3DS, but not on like console. They didn't move
Which was
Pokemon.
weird. I mean, but
they didn't move Pokemon over to console.
Was bad.
Like it was just it was kind of a bad time for Nintendo.
Now I'm sad thinking about the Wii U. I used to think of the Wii U as like this funny thing, like, you tried to do something weird. And now I'm just like, you know what? I'm sure like a lot of people got fired. Like a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
get
they
bags
had
and
massive price cuts for it. Like absolutely, a lot of Wii U owners felt burned, and so like I don't know, I've gained more of a respect for it now just because, and I never owned one before. Just because like there are some hidden gems on there. They're like it's not all bad. They're like you have Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze that also came out, and that is an absolutely phenomenal. Like there are tons of good games, so it deserves more respect than it gets. But it's not the Wii U's fault. It's Nintendo's.
No. Yeah, for sure. But you know what? I feel like Nintendo, if they don't announce the Switch 2, they for sure probably are gonna announce just like, oh, and by the way, new Zelda that completes the timeline. And it's like, wait, what? It's like, huh? And
Yeah.
just like, yeah, like it's coming, and we don't know when or what platform it'll be on. I don't know. We might be in talks with Sony again. I don't know. We haven't done that since the 90s. Yeah, no. So okay, Stalker 2 for me. Whatever Nintendo does for you. What are y'all excited to play, Mediocre Gaming Fam? Because keep it a bean. It's a pretty dry year. I know we got that new Final Fantasy Rebirth coming out. It looks pretty good, not gonna lie. Never been too big into Final Fantasy, but Final Fantasy 7 is like a staple in just culture. So there is that. AJ, anything else you want to tell the people?
I don't think there's much else gaming wise, but do have a little bit of news, everyone. So I know, we didn't release an episode on Christmas just because it was Christmas. I also was out of town, so it was in a way to also stall, haha. And so I going into this new year, we're going to do a little bit of a restructure, and so we're going to take a little bit of a break after this episode. This episode will come out on time the next Monday after our journey and review episode, and after that we're going to take a little break. We're going to record a few episodes ahead of time, so then I have more time to edit. How things are going right now, I'm just worried eventually I'm going to get burnt out because I work 3 to 4 hours after every day of work, which is, I love doing this, but just so I don't get burnt out in the future, we're just going to organize things right now. So everything's good. We're just going to take a little break, and we'll be right back, and hopefully after there, I'll be able to be a lot more regular.
I was going to say, everything's fine. AJ and I are still friends. We still communicate regularly. We still enjoy each other's company. Everything is fine. It's just we got to take a break because, you got to charge up. It's like a solar beam. You got to just... and then you blast. I forget how Venusaur blasts his soul. Is it through his mouth? I think it's through his mouth.
No, it says the flower on his back.
It's through the flower?
Yeah,
okay.
I
remember he absorbed it, but I thought okay. Either way it goes, everything's fine. We're just taking a break. So get over
Don't panic.
Don't
I know
panic. We're gonna be here.
All three of you that are concerned. Well,
all three. I mean, yes, all three of us. All three
thank
of
you.
Everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for attending our Mediocre family gathering.
Yeah, shout out to the best Mediocre family ever. But yeah, I think that's everything for now. We love you guys, and we can't wait to see you next time we upload. And yeah, again, comment down below because I'm sure that watch us take this break, and then it's just like, oh, by the way, 2K Games has just been set up. It's like everything just goes crazy.
Right.
Like watch, just like last time. But anyway, we will be back. We will miss you the entire time. Love you, Mediocre Gamer fam. Peace.
Peace.